everybody, welcome to Zebco Academy. On today's segment, we're gonna be talking about how to set up your Spincast combo for success. So first, we're gonna start out by putting our two-piece rod together. We're just gonna snap it in like so, and then we're gonna look at our eyelets and make sure that they're all centered with one another. So I just hold the rod out in front of me, look down one of them and make sure they all line up. And then next, we're just gonna check the rod for any damages. So I just kind of go up and down the rod, flexing a little bit, making sure that there's no cracks, things like that. So for this next step, on your new rod, you're gonna have this little line tag and you're gonna wanna cut that off for starters. Otherwise, you're not gonna be able to run the line through your little eyelets. After you've cut your little line tab off, we're just going to push the button and this allows your line to come out. So I kind of like to hold it between my legs here to keep it steady. And we're just gonna feed the line through the eyelets. The last one through the top. We're gonna pull it down. To stop the line from coming out, we're just gonna simply click over the reel. For our next step, we're just gonna put our bait on here. So I've just got a little jig head. To start out, I'm just gonna feed the line through the little eyelet on the jig. And then I'm gonna take my middle finger and kind of press it against the head of the jig. And then I'm gonna take that end of my line, cross it over so it's almost hugging my middle finger. And then from there, I'm gonna take the line and just wrap it around about 8 to 10 times. And then once I've wrapped it about 8 to 10 times, I'm gonna come through where my middle finger is. I'm gonna feed it through that little circle, and then it'll kind of look like a mess, but we'll pull it tight without hooking yourself. And I like to use my thumb and my index finger to kind of pull that knot down and then pull also on the jig and make sure that it doesn't slide. And then you can cut the excess off. And then when we put our actual bait on, you're gonna wanna start by running the hook through the head and about halfway up through its body. And then you'll bring the tip of the hook out and just slide them on like so. So now that we have our bait on, we're gonna talk about the drag. So the drag on the Spincast combo is located on the front here as a little dial. So when we move it to the right, that's gonna increase our tension for the line to come out. And if we move it to the left, that's gonna decrease it. So for example, say you catch onto a big fish and you have your drag set too high. That is gonna increase your chances of that fish snapping your line. Whereas if it was too low and you didn't have enough resistance, that fish is gonna take off with your bait down the river. So what we wanna find is a happy medium where that line comes out, but there's still enough resistance to get that fish in. So when you're all ready to go fishing, you wanna make sure of a couple things. One being your hook is either clipped on an eyelet or a hook keeper. A couple other things, you wanna make sure that you're not walking with your rod tip up in the sky. It could get tangled up in a branch. You also wanna make sure that you're not walking with your rod tip down. In case you stumble, you increase your chance of snapping that rod tip off. Just making sure that it's level with your body and you're aware of your surroundings. So when you're all ready to cast, you wanna make sure from the tip of your rod to your bait is about a foot and a half of line. So when we go to cast, we're gonna push our button in, bring it back, and then release the button. And then once we click over the handle, that'll stop the line from coming out. And then you're ready to start reeling in. So just remember, your first time out fishing, you're not gonna be an expert caster. Get out there, give it a couple tries, figure out what's best for you, and don't get discouraged. Practice doesn't make you perfect, but it'll make you better in the long run. Thanks for watching Zebco Academy. Be sure to check out our other videos online and share your fishing experiences with us on our social media platforms at Zebco Fishing.